This is a popular request, Liz. We're not going to spend much time, but I wanted to bring in Natalie Wood, a famous actress who unfortunately lost her life in a boating tragedy back in the early 80s. Um, is Natalie Wood able to chat with us?
She is. I have her here.
All right. How is she doing? What's she been up to?
She's just kind of bored up there, really. She likes to be here on the earth plane. She always has lifetimes where she is very much admired for her beauty, and she quite likes being this last lifetime where she was in the spotlight. She likes entertaining people.
Well, she still marvels. People marvel at her works now. She was on a boat allegedly with Christopher Walken and I believe her husband at the time, Robert Wagner. And Robert Wagner is still alive, 94 years old. And I wondered what happened that night on that boat where she lost her life. Could she let us know?
What happened that night on the boat? He threw me overboard. He knew I couldn't swim, and it was very cold.
Was it Walken and Wagner or just Wagner?
No, just Wagner.
Did Walken know that she was on the other side of the boat and couldn't get to her?
Did you know that? Did he know? Yeah, he was aware. And Wagner threatened to throw him over as well. They had a gun. He had a gun.
I know there's a lot of drinking involved that night on the boat, a lot of partying. Was there a conversation like that led to that animosity, that anger? What was the point of that argument?
What was the point of that argument? He wanted me to sleep with whoever the other guy is.
Christopher Walken.
Yes. And she refused to do it. This is something that he did. He would like to almost like pimp her out in a way. And she didn't like it at all. And it was pretty much like, do as you're told. And she said that she refused. Yes, he had been drinking, the other one too. And she wasn't drinking. Listen, this is a domestic situation, and anybody who is a victim of domestic abuse, most of the time they learn that they have to stay in control at all times. So, when somebody starts drinking or they're doing drugs or, you have to be in control because when you're not in control, bad things can really happen. You put yourself in danger, you can get hurt. You don't know when you need to run at any given moment or defend yourself or think very quickly in order to escape the situation if you can. Um, she was not, I don't feel she was drinking. I feel she would pretend to drink. He would want her to drink, but she wasn't drinking.
What's
It's
the life?
almost like she was spitting it out, or it was a fake drink or something like that, but she wasn't drinking.
What is the life lesson to? I mean, she must have known coming down that she was going to entangle with someone like this and lose her life early. So, what's that life lesson?
What was the life lesson like? Well, it was really the life lesson was for Wagner and the other one. It was really about their emotions after the incident. Would they get caught? Always covering up. He didn't stop being abusive, although he had to take account of his actions in the future. You know, this is the thing about abusers. Once they start, or narcissists, right? Once they start to become found out, they actually don't cave at that moment. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm guilty, or this, that, and the other. They just get better at covering up their tracks, right? So that's what he did. He got better at covering up his tracks. Now, he did go through a period of time where he had to learn how to treat women better, because he basically thought women were nothing, There was a big issue around that. So a lot of the life lessons were really for the two of them, because once she departed, the again, those negative feelings sort of just, the weight of them fade out, and they have to live with themselves for what they've done. But the problem is they haven't experienced the full weight of all the guilt. This happens all the time between them. Okay. They've had many, many, many soul contracts, and she's telling me this will happen again in the next lifetime. But maybe this time she'll throw him overboard.
Can she help us understand why that contract would be made and made again? Because we view that here as sick and cruel. And what is the benefit in that tete-a-tete or murder a murderer?
What is the benefit? It's about having to work through your emotions by experiencing such a very large event, and trying to overcome those emotions and see light in those emotions, and instill change, right? What was it that made him do this in the first place? He needed to take a good hard look at himself and understand what made him so vicious and violent. Everybody knew that there was an element of violence about this guy. And people were scared of him. But along with the addictions and this, I'm going to pimp you out sort of scenario, what makes you think that you own a person to make those judgment calls that you're going to pimp them out to your friends? He was definitely a sex addict. Did he ever get over his addictions? Yes, I do feel at some level he did get over his addiction. So this whole incident was to really help them. Why would you do it again? Because, you know, her perspective is that it was a very beneficial thing to happen for all parties involved.
Beneficial in what way?
You have to experience trauma in order to reassess and reevaluate what's going on the inside, right? You're working through the trauma. And so it caused them to have to work through this trauma and understand why they are the way they are. Why was it the other one never said anything? Well, because he didn't want to be done for murder. I mean, I feel this Wagner is, he would say, well, I didn't do it, you did it. No, you did. So it would have been his word against the other one's word. And trying to prove that would have been insanely difficult. And they could have both ended up going to jail. Now, this guy here, go back. And God, I don't know why I can't hold his name. Christopher Walken, yeah. He has a lot of deep regret. He had nightmares about this whole scenario. He replayed it over and over and over again in his mind. It tormented him, tortured him, and he ended up developing addictions just to as a coping mechanism for this event that happened. But I feel like he is over those now for the most part, and that was very difficult for him as well.
Well, I feel like I'm still not over it, and it didn't even happen to me. But I'm saying for Natalie Wood, what can she tell people that might be in an abusive relationship now? And maybe we should listen to her because she's going to get into an abusive relationship again. But shouldn't they be trying to get out of it and break that? What are the options to get out of it in this earth plane?
So my question to her would be, do you not, on a soul level, do you not have enough self-love and self-worth to know that making these contracts are very destructive to you, and it also limits your earth plane existence your opportunity to live a long life and work through your individual issues that need to be resolved. And she said, that's right, Liz. So why would you sacrifice your self-worth and self-love to be in a contract like this? Because lessons need to be learned. So I'm saying, I'm going to give her an idea here. I'm going to say, well, instead
Intervention.
of going back into the same old, why don't you work it out that you become empowered enough to break free and find the self love and find the self worth in order to leave this situation and then, go on and live a happy existence, not getting yourself back into the same scenario. Because a lot of times, domestic violence victims,
Hmm.
they end up right back in the same scenario. And that says to me that they still have the energy, the magnets in their energy field that are drawing in that abusive behavior. It just ends up being maybe a different type of abuse, or the personality types are a little different. But sometimes a domestic violence victim can go from being physically abused in one relationship and then end up in another relationship where they're being physically abused by someone else. And so it's kind of like, well, you didn't get it the first time, so now you got to experience it again and again and again until you do get it. Now, I know for a fact there's two ways out of a domestic violence relationship: you die or you leave. Those are your only choices, people. For those of you out there listening, you die or you leave. So let's ask this question. What would you say to those out there? She says, leave, right? You've got to leave. And no matter how hard it is, how difficult it is, she says, you have to leave.
Can we stress that she should take that advice and leave this soul group so that she can further evolve in her next incarnation and not try to pay recompense for someone that murdered her?
Yeah, will you take on board like this conversation that you're having with us today and, instill that into your next lifetime, that you do find the strength and the empowerment to leave? She goes, well, I'll definitely consider it. So I have to ask this question. For victims of domestic violence, male or female, right, that end up in the spirit world, is there like a domestic violence counseling center up there that says, hey, we need to figure out a different way to find your self-love? No, she's saying no, but they do, again, in that life review, maybe this wasn't the best option for you. So I'm asking her, did you have that life review? She did. And did they say to you that maybe this wasn't the best option for you? And she says, well, no, because basically the option, the contract, the basis of the contract was for these two guys to really experience this event and to work through it. They led very troubled lives after this event.
As well,
And
they
they
should,
did
but I think they should be incarcerated. But that's just my own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions.
right, but they won't be. Okay, I'm getting a no on that. Now, when you pulled up that picture of Robert Wagner on the screen, you know, he's in bad shape. Um,
He's
he's
94.
really sort of near the end. His mobility's pretty shot. He's, we got incontinence issues that I can see. He does have a team of people around him. He can be very abusive to these aides or nurses or helpers around him. I do feel he has dementia at this point. So let's ask this question to her. Does he actually at this point even remember it? And I'm getting a no.
Just because you can't remember it doesn't mean that it's horrific and horrible. And I hope that we've interceded on Natalie Wood's life to let her know you could be more. How many incarnations have they had as a human? Maybe they're low, reincarnation level.
Ah, that's a good question. Um, How many human incarnations? Yeah, there you go. See, we've been doing these for a while. We get to know the sort of the patterns. So about 200. Now she's higher than he is. She's more closer to 300. And she's always like this, you know, savior, like I want to save this one and I want to save that one, and I don't mind sacrificing lots of different things in order for these souls to ascend up to the level that I am. I do feel that they're all soulmates. I do feel that they've made these contracts many times and they will again. But maybe she needs to rethink that plan as well, because as we've learned, and I have to publish that video that you and I did, which is what are the positive ways to achieve soul ascension. I'm going to try and get that out today. I'm so sorry.
Oh, one of
What
these days.
positive ways to achieve soul ascension? And it was to save a life. But she's talking about trying to save people on a soul level. But the actual saving a life thing was in the physical 3D world on the earth plane, physically like saving someone's life, like resuscitating them, helping them when they're close to the brink of death or when they're on the brink of death. So I would say that's kind of a mismatch here in philosophies, because it's not really about, trying to bring everyone forward. That rarely works as far as I know. But of course, being in a soul family and a soul group and soulmates, they don't want to leave each other behind. So is that the
Mhm.
only choice that you have? And she just said yes, because she wants to keep evolving with them.
Aren't there spiritual contract lawyers over there on the other side that maybe you can talk to and say, well, where's the loophole so I can get the hell out of this group of just,
That's a good, that's funny. She's laughing. She thinks that's funny. She's very pretty. Um,
I'm
no,
serious.
no.
You, well, there should be, because there's a
Well,
lot of bad contracts working on the other side, aren't there?
yeah, and you know what I would like to do for a future probe, if you can make a mental note, is let's find some good contract. Like, how did the people come to make really good contracts? I mean, she did have some good contracts in her
Well, she
life.
was a
Let's
famous
ask.
movie star, but then, went on a boat with a couple of drunks and got pushed overboard, allegedly.
So let's ask her. The good contracts that you made, like being a movie star, which you really loved and enjoyed. I feel like she had a very close relationship with a female caregiver, very, very close, received a lot of love. And, those were good contracts, right? Yes. Well, so why don't we accentuate on the good contracts? Because we have to have a balance. We have to have both light and dark contracts in the lifespan, in the lifetime, or there's no point. If it's all just all good all the time, we get to the end of the lifetime and we've achieved nothing.
We can agree to disagree. I will say I always watch Miracle on 34th Street when I can find it, the original black and white, and I'm sad that you crossed over too early. I think we all lost a great talent, and hopefully you can make better decisions about coming back, not with people that are going to murder you or not with people that you'll be prone to murder. Liz, thanks again for this. A big hoot, and I appreciate each and everyone out there watching, listening, and leave your comments below. Let us know how you found Liz and what you feel. Thanks.
Wow, thank you. And don't forget, Mr. Reality does have a tip jar listed below. Thank you so much. This is great.
Bye.